الله أكبر.
نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Continuing with our short series of talks after the Tarawih Salah. Today's topic is a very important topic, and it follows nicely from the topic I mentioned yesterday about leaving a legacy, being someone who is a very important figure in the community, teaching something and then giving it back to others, acquiring and then giving it back to others, leaving a legacy for yourself and for your family and for all your descendants and the people in your area and in your community. And the topic which I want to discuss today is regarding the importance of being a role model. Now, forget about for a second the importance of being a role model and the thawab and these things. Inshallah, I'll come back to that later. But the first point which I want to make is that being a alim, being a scholar, or even for the students who are sitting here, in the next 2-3 years, you will be considered to be a scholar and an alim. When you reach, say, for example, year 4, year 5, Mishkat, these types of books, then you are, in a way, in the eyes of the people, they think of you to be a scholar now. So you reached year 4, year 5, you're doing the big books. So you will see in your locality people, in a way they may not call you Maulana so and so, but they will treat you like an alim, and they will start respecting you like they would respect an alim and a scholar. And the first point which I want to mention is that this is mainly for our students who are here and also our students who may be watching the video later. And that is that always be careful and wary of what you do. Always be careful, because remember, people are always looking up to you. We touched on a few days back, ittaqu mawadi'a tuha. So likewise, if you do something wrong, people will look up to you and say that, well, this is a scholar, he's done something wrong. Now obviously there's two ways to look at it. Either they may think, oh, what kind of scholar he is, so bad, such a bad imam, he knows this is wrong but he's still doing it, so you then get belittled. Or the other dimension to it could be that they may see you doing something wrong and then they actually look at you and think, well, Sheikh's doing such a thing, Mufti Sahib is doing such a thing. Even though it is haram, but the people outside, they don't know that. So they'll think, oh, if Sheikh's doing it, Mufti Sahib is doing it, that means it must be allowed. And this is why he's mentioning the hadith that فَأَفْتَوْا بِغَيْرِ إِلْمٍ فَضَلُّوا وَأَضَلُّوا اتَّخَذَ النَّاسُ رُؤُوسَ الْجُحَالِ. That a time will come when the cream of the ulamas will pass away and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take away ilm in that particular way. And you will only have left ru'us al-juhal, ignorant people being made into leaders, and they would now give fatwa and opinions without knowledge. فَضَلُّوا وَأَضَلُّوا. They themselves are astray and they will make others astray. So the first thing which I want to mention to, in particular the students, is always be wary of what you do. You're a role model. Remember, whatever you do, the good or the bad, people will look up to you. Especially when you then one day become a teacher and then you have students below you. So they look at your actions. And if they say, for example, see you behaving un-Islamically, now the students you have, subhanAllah, so innocent, masoom, they think that, well, no, what Sheikh is doing, what Mufti Sahib is doing, what Maulana Sahib is doing, that has to be right, that has to be correct. So even though you're doing something which is reprehensible, but your students don't know that it is reprehensible. So what would happen is that they'll start following you, they'll start copying you. But the reality is that what they're doing is something incorrect and something which is wrong. So the first point which I want to mention is to always be wary of this. Like when you be an alim, when you are in the path of seeking knowledge, you are now in a way, whether you like it or not, you are now a role model. A couple of other points I want to mention about this. Once Hazrat Huzaifa bin Yaman radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he approached or he gave a sermon and he addressed the religious scholars. Ya ma'shar al-qurra. In those days, those who were qurra reciters, they were also alim and knowledgeable of the kitab as well. So Huzaifa bin Yaman radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he addresses the religious scholars, Ya ma'shar al-qurra, istaqimu, which means remain steadfast. Why? فَإِنَّهُ قَدْ سُبِكَ بَعْدَكُمْ. In other words, people will come after you and they will follow you. And then he goes on to explain, وَإِنْ أَخَذْتُمْ يَمِينًا وَشِمَالًا. In other words, if you start taking this path and that path, and you don't follow the straight path, then what will happen is that you will then make others astray. So even this particular nasiha and advice, Huzaifa bin Yaman, who gave this advice to the religious scholars, he's even reminding them that as scholars, as alim, as qurras, be steadfast on the straight path. Why? Because if you start wandering here and there, start going this side, that path, deviating away from the straight path, then what will happen is that you will make others astray as well. And just a final point about being role model and leaving a legacy, doing something good, but also at the same time that if you start off something bad, then the sins regarding that, everybody's aware of the hadith that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said that whosoever innovates something good, not innovates like out of his own will, but he introduces something good, like he's an alim mashallah and then he teaches, or just say for example he's the first alim in his family and because of that his younger brothers, his younger sisters follow that particular path, his nephews, his nieces follow that path. So he says everyone that all the other people in your family, in your community who looked up to you, so they saw you in the community, Sheikh, Mufti Sahib, mashallah, I want my son to be like him, I want my daughters to be like him. A female teacher, all the daughters, the young girls, they're looking up to her. So they have this wish, I want my daughter or my niece to be like so-and-so female teacher. So now you're a role model. Now, obviously they'll only have that wish and desire, the parents, if they see something good in you. So the Hadith Mubarak, it goes on to explain that if you start something good, then whosoever acts upon it, you will get the same reward as them. You will get the same reward as them. La yunqasu min ujurihim. And their rewards will not be decreased. In other words, it doesn't mean that, okay, you become an alim and then your nephew followed suit and he becomes an alim later. It doesn't mean, oh, he'll get 50% and you'll get 50% of the reward. No. It means that you'll get 100% of the reward. And your nephew or your disciple or your murid or whoever it may be, they will also get 100% of the reward as well because they copied you what you have done. Also at the same time, everyone, if you do something bad and people follow that, so you may be someone like an imam or a scholar, but you started something bad, a bad innovation, a bad bid'ah, and then you have your people following that, then the sin which they get, you will get the exact same sin for introducing that bid'ah and that innovation. And that's why it's mentioned in the hadith that Qabil, who killed Habil, he was the first person to introduce killing, murder in this world. So since Qabil's time, the millions and billions of murderers who have lived in this world, and the millions and billions of people who will commit murder from Adam alayhi salam's time all the way to the day of judgment, every single person's sins will be on Qabil as well. So all the murderers we see, notorious killers, even anyone, don't get me wrong, these people will get sins as well, but also at the same time, all the sins will also go on Qabil as well. Why? Because he was the very first person to start the innovation of killing. So likewise for us imams, students, teachers, if we start something bad and then we have our students following us, and then the next generation of students who come to this madrasa, they do the same, then we will get, unfortunately, the same. But if we do something good, positive for the community, then the next generation of students who come, they learn, and so on and so forth, alhamdulillah, we will get the reward and we will get the thawab. So may Allah give us tawfiq. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.